I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land where we meet today and pay my respects to the elders of the past and the present. I really hope you're finding the sessions very useful and getting really excited and trying all these new things when you're back at home or back at work. But I have a question for you. How confident you are that you're running your workloads in AWS in the most cost-efficient way? Well, cost is not just a number, but it's a reflection of our priorities, decisions, and ability to design systems in a complex world. My name is David Diogo. I'm a senior technical account manager at AWS, and one of my main jobs is to assure that customer workloads run very efficiently in the cloud. And today I'm very excited in sharing the stage today with Hugo from Canva, and he's going to be sharing all the Canva's journey with the FinOps and best practices with us. Hugo, introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Hugo. I work as a senior software engineer in the Cloud FinOps team at Canva, and I'm very excited to be here with you today to share a little bit about our FinOps journey.
Okay, I don't have the clicker. Someone hand the clicker, please. Yeah, I just need the clicker for a moment. There you go. Oh, it's there? Oh, someone took it. Someone took it, yeah. Sorry, folks, just a minute. There you go. Beautiful. Thanks so much, sir. All right. So today we're talking about the challenge of cloud finance management that companies face around the world. We're going to see what AWS tools can help with the first steps into moving to a cost awareness culture. And finally, we're going to learn from Canva and how adopting FinOps practice at scale has enabled Canva to multiply their amazing platform globally, even while they're reducing their costs. So it's not a surprise that the global cloud spends are increasing, and managing this increase of spend becomes very challenging at scale. In fact, according to FinOps financial numbers, since last year, it marks the first time where cloud finance management has overtaken even security, becoming the top one priority that companies face across all sectors in the world. At the same time, these same customers, they also acknowledge that adopting cloud finance management and FinOps at scale helps to grow their business and revenue. With the growth of your business, your cloud usage naturally grows, simply because you need more infra to serve more customers. But what we want to make sure is that the quantity of your customers and your business grow faster than the AWS bill. And for that to happen, you need to make sure that your workloads are not only secure and resilient, but they are also very cost effective. When I talk about cost effectiveness, it's not necessarily reducing your usage or having one AWS bill lower than previous months. Like comparing AWS bills will not help in here, because cost is also a variable metric. And as we know from operational excellence, a metric is only useful when it's connected to a business goal or objective. So it's the same with the cost. By finding the right unit cost metric, you're no longer looking at your infrastructure costs alone, but you're adding to the value that adds to your business. Like some examples of these unit cost metrics could be average cost per API call, average cost per transaction, or even average cost per active user. The right metric will depend on your business domain, but as long as you find one, you start looking into the value that adds to your business. In the cloud, there are many ways you can optimize your workloads and reduce these unit costs that you have. You can, for instance, right-size your instance, picking the most appropriate instance type and size aligned with the CPU and memory that your workloads require. You can improve elasticity, scale in and out based on your user demands, and use resources only when you need them. You can identify and eliminate idle resources. And based on the data that we have, we know 30% fall into this area. Once you do the baseline, you can start also like picking better pricing options or better purchase options like spot instances, reserve the instance or savings plan. Or you can optimize your storage, picking the most appropriate ABS volume type for your workload, or leveraging one of the many S3 and Glacier tiers. And then finally, you can also redesign your workloads to make them more cloud native, like leveraging event-driven patterns, or serverless workloads, or managed services. So you can see there are many ways you can optimize your workloads and get to more advanced state of optimization. But finding and understanding these opportunities are very challenging at scale, because you need to involve people, processes, and tools. And that's where we believe FinOps can help with this transition. As we are in a Builder's Day, I assume you're all familiar with the DevOps concept of you build it, you run it, and you're responsible for the operations. So it's the same with the FinOps. You build it, you run it, and you're responsible for the costs, and assure that they don't go out of control and predict any changes. And that starts with getting a really good visibility of the usage that you have, that you first guide your teams to understand the optimization opportunities. And then acting on these opportunities, your teams can also learn new best practices that they can reapply in future projects and future workloads, creating like a big virtual cycle of improvement. Also important to say that FinOps is not a one and done exercise. It's more like a continuous process of improvement, collaboration across the teams. So now let's take a look at how this journey looks like on AWS. You might be familiar with the role of the FinOps practitioner, but if you're not, don't worry. It could be someone in your organization with a different role, but it's someone looking to help the engineering teams in understanding and prioritize these optimization opportunities. And usually this journey starts with services like a cost explorer that gives like a high-level overview of the usage of your accounts. Or you can set some boundaries and controls using AWS budgets and getting alerted when the costs are going a little bit beyond what you expect. You can also use a Cost Optimization Hub, which is a service we launched last year and combines recommendations for Arise savings plans for 15 different sources. You can also get a list of recommendations of more ideal instance types and size using AWS Compute Optimizer. Or if you have some sort of support, you can use the Trusted Advisor and get a list of idle or misutilized resources. And then finally, if you require even more customization, you can enable the cost usage reports and use the AWS data exports to export your billing data so you can integrate with other services or other workflows or dashboards that you might have. The reality is that on the top of the FinOps practitioner, there is also many other stakeholders also interested in FinOps from different angles. Finance and procurement teams, they require better visibility, so they can do better budgeting, forecasting. Engineering leads, they want to know the cost of their environments. How much costs this dev environment? How much costs this test environment? Product owners, they want to understand better the features. They want to understand the cost of it so they can focus and build more successful cases for future features for the projects. And finally, executives, they want to know more like the overall usage of the cloud, or how much of it is optimized, or how much each one of the units are spending. So I think we can start seeing here that there is an opportunity for a collaborative environment where all these stakeholders will be working together, analyzing the data from their perspective and taking decisions based on them. And to help with that, we have the Cloud Intelligence Dashboards, which is a collection of customizable dashboards available on QuickSight that you can deploy directly on your account. That will give like a more insights, like a more in-depth overview of your usage. These dashboards, they are entirely deployed in your accounts. They are not shared with any third party, which means very secure. And we also don't charge for the use of them. You just pay for the underlying service running behind, which is just a very minimum in comparison to your AWS bill. I'm sharing the QR codes here. One will take you to a demo of one of the dashboards that we have, and the other one will share the steps so you can install in your accounts. Like they all are in CloudFormation templates, just take a few minutes to run the install. Just to give you a little bit more details how they work behind the scenes, so all the services that I previously mentioned, they all become data sources. And I'll start pushing like their insights and their data into Amazon S3 and Amazon Athena, creating a big optimization data lake. And then we have the dashboards pulling from this data lake, so they can allow the stakeholders to start looking into the optimization opportunities available for them, instead of spending time trying to understand where the data is or how to build a report from it. As I mentioned too, there are different roles looking at FinOps from different perspectives, and that's why we also have different types of dashboards. We have like more foundational dashboards, like the cost intelligence dashboard, the KPI dashboard, and the kudos dashboard, that will give like a more high-level overview of the usage, which is more aligned with the executives or finance teams. Or we have more advanced dashboards, like the compute optimizer dashboard, the cost anomalies, or the trust advisor dashboard, that will give a little bit more insights of your usage, which is more aligned with the technical teams. Just to reinforce that the whole purpose of these dashboards is to give more visibility of the usage, which will be like the first steps for engineering teams in understanding the optimization opportunities available for them. And with that, I'd like to call to stage Hugo. Hugo has played a major role on the FinOps adoption at Canva, that has enabled Canva to multiply their platform even while they're reducing their costs. Thank you, Hugo.
Thanks, Davi. Canva is a global visual communications platform on a mission to empower the world to design. It's a simple way to create beautiful designs, from presentations to infographics, documents, videos, t-shirts, and much more. Currently, we have over 170 million users across the world, and more than 20 billion designs have been created in our platform to this date. In the 30 seconds that I have been speaking to you, more than 6,000 new designs will have been created. But we haven't always had this scale, so let me tell you how we started. Back in 2013, Canva was launched with a simple but powerful interface to create designs. It only worked in the browser, and the entire company was made up of less than 15 Canva nodes, as we like to call ourselves. We were small, but our ambition to make design accessible to everyone was huge. In our first year, we had more than 750,000 users using our platform, and done all of that basically using 6 AWS services. At that scale, managing our cloud costs was relatively easy. Fast forward to 9 years later, and back in 2022, things were very different. At that time, we had more than 100 million people using our platform, more than 3,000 Canva nodes, and a whole lot more you could do with our Visual Work Suite, including some AI-powered features like Magic Write and Text-to-Image. In 2022, we also celebrated 300,000 nonprofits and over 25 million students and teachers using our platform for free. On the AWS side, instead of 6, we were then using over 70 AWS services and had a much more advanced environment. To give you a sense of scale, this meant adding over 150 terabytes of data per day in S3 and running over 1 million vCPUs on EC2 at any given hour. Naturally, we were spending a lot in the cloud, and for all the good reasons. At the time, we had a few priorities. First, we wanted to start optimizing our costs after a period of growth where costs were not necessarily the biggest concern to us. Second, we wanted to democratize cost information so it could be available to all of the teams instead of just the central infrastructure team. And we wanted to do this so we could help product teams make better decisions by taking costs into consideration alongside other business metrics. But we had a few challenges. First, no cost visibility for ECS. So at Canva, we use ECS as a shared platform to run hundreds of services and many, many containers, but we could only see the cost of the underlying EC2 instances. Second, there was no formal cost ownership. Even though we could break down the costs by tags, these costs were not explicitly associated with a team. And finally, cost information was not easily accessible since not everyone had access to Cost Explorer or even AWS. As a consequence, teams had very little insight about their own costs, making accountability much harder and almost impossible to manage cloud costs at scale. And that was basically the beginning of our FinOps practice. We started by putting together a multidisciplinary FinOps team with finance, procurement, and engineering collaborating together. Our first priority was to give visibility of costs to the teams, so we started with some of the cloud intelligence dashboards mentioned by Davi earlier. We also developed a custom dashboard in partnership with AWS to provide allocation of our ECS costs. We've also done a little bit of a tagging uplift, so more costs could be associated with more teams. That gave us a pretty good head start, and we've started to see interesting optimizations happen around the company. From there, a lot has happened in the past 2 years. It's important to say that not everything we've done was technical, but rather a mix of technical, process, and cultural changes. On the technical side, we created a new data pipeline with support for quality checks, external data sources, and overall, more control over the data transformation process. We also created a new dashboard that offered better integration with the Canva systems and business metrics. We integrated cost information into our developer portal, so it was right in front of engineers. We've also done some advanced things like using tracing data to calculate costs per click, and that's still a work in progress. And recently, we introduced our automated monthly reports that get delivered to the entire company leadership with very minimal effort. On the process and cultural side of things, we started by improving how we managed our savings plans and reserved instances. And by going after some low-hanging fruit, we've actually seen some pretty good savings right at the start of our journey. Another thing that we did was to embed cost considerations into the design phase of our systems, something that wasn't explicitly there before. And finally, we introduced our Cost Efficiency Heroes program with a focus at tracking and rewarding teams and individuals that improve the efficiency of their systems at Canva. Unfortunately, they don't get to keep a percentage of the money they save, nor does the FinOps team, at least not yet. There's a magical thing that happens when you give visibility of costs to the people that actually run the workloads. Naturally, you see engineers start coming up with ideas on how to improve the architecture, reduce waste, and overall just making things more efficient, because that's what engineers do. I'm going to walk you through some examples of such things. As mentioned before, Canva allows you to create many different types of designs. Once the design is created, you can use Canva to present it, or you can download your design as a PDF and many other formats. More than 3 million designs are downloaded every day from our platform. If you choose to download your design, clicking the download button will send a request through the load balancer and onto a web server, which eventually creates an export job and puts it on an SQS queue. From there, a container-based worker picks up the job from the queue, generates the PDF, puts it on S3, where it's eventually downloaded by the user. This process is used by hundreds of thousands of users every day. So as you can imagine, uses a lot of instances, a lot of compute. Initially, the workers that generate the PDF all ran using on-demand instances, but we thought we could do better. Based on the fact that the export process runs asynchronously, we could explore the use of spot instances and reduce the cost of exporting the designs. With very little change on the application itself, we added a second group of workers running on Spot and picking up jobs from the very same SQS queue as the on-demand. Initially, we kept a portion of workers running on demand just to be safe, but over time, we felt confident to have 100% of the export jobs being processed by the Spot workers. We still have the ability to use on-demand as needed, but this almost never happens since our Spot pool has a big mix of instance sizes and families. With this change, we've seen a 55% reduction in the cost of exporting the designs, but more importantly, without any impact on the user experience. Another important workload at Canva is within the observability space, more specifically the collection of application logs. We use this data in many different ways, for example, to understand customer behavior and improve our product, or to troubleshoot our services when they're not operating as expected. We use a combination of ECS and EKS, having thousands of EC2 instances and tens of thousands of tasks and pods, which collectively generate billions of log records every single day. Each of these components have to offload logs to OpenSearch, where it's used for further analysis. Originally, we had the logs be sent to CloudWatch, and then from there to a Kinesis data stream, where it would finally reach OpenSearch. This was developed in this way just so we could have CloudWatch act as a buffer in case we had issues with Kinesis or OpenSearch. Now, with the added focus on cost efficiency and with the added cost visibility, it became apparent that running this setup was actually a bit expensive to us, especially at our scale. So we went on to research how we could improve this architecture. As it turns out, sorry, let me just grab a. As it turns out, we could ship logs straight to Kinesis and remove CloudWatch entirely. Sure, that would mean we would no longer have that buffer, but we saw that as a minor risk to us. In order to make that change, we made use of the AWS open source FluentBit plugin for Kinesis, which basically takes care of sending logs from containers all the way to Kinesis. As a matter of fact, we ended up even forking the agent and making a few changes so it was more efficient to the specific data structures that we use. In the end, we've seen a massive reduction of 90% in the cost for offloading application logs and found it to be just as reliable as before. If you also have challenges in this area, this is an architecture you might want to consider. Moving on to the storage area. As you might imagine, Canva needs to store billions of objects among user designs, design templates, uploaded media, exported PDFs, and more. S3, of course, is the best service for this. Currently, we have over 350 petabytes of data, having more than 500 terabytes and over 1 billion objects added daily to our storage. With the launch of Glacier Instant Retrieval at the end of 2021, we saw a great opportunity to save a lot of money by using this new storage tier. After looking at the access pattern of our objects, we initially moved half of our data, and nowadays over 70% of our S3 data actually lives in Glacier Instant Retrieval. This change has allowed us to reduce our average storage cost per user and per gigabyte, and helps us save more than $3 million every year. If you have data that is rarely accessed but needs instant availability, this could be a great option to you. By the way, the story This story I've talked about is actually available on the AWS storage blogs too. So if you want to know more details about it, feel free to scan this QR code and I'll just give you some time. Okay, so finally, an example on the commercial side of things. DynamoDB is used at Canva by many different applications. So this means we have tables with billions of key value pairs and perform millions of read and write operations every day. Keeping this cost under control is very critical to us, so we make use of DynamoDB reserve capacity to pay less for our read and write capacity units. One of the interesting views in the dashboards shared by Davi earlier is this one here, that basically gives you insights about your DynamoDB usage. Here you can see two charts, one for read capacity units and another one for write capacity units. And in both of them, orange represents your levels of on-demand usage, and blue represents your level of reserve capacity. By using these dashboards, we've been able to learn about our DynamoDB usage patterns better and progressively add more and more reservations so we could pay less. At the moment, we're saving an average 35% in DynamoDB costs, and as you can see, there's still room for improving even more. I've shown you some examples of how we improved the efficiency of systems at Canva, but there are many, many more. Together, these efforts have helped us achieve great results in the past 2 years. In 2024, here's a summary of where we stand. Today, 95% of the taggable costs are associated with a team. More than 70% of our compute either runs on spot or is covered by savings plans or reserved instances. And finally, through a mix of commercial and technical optimizations, our AWS bill is roughly 50% cheaper of what it would be otherwise. That's equivalent to saying we get 6 months of AWS usage for free each year. We love it. At Canva, we like to say that we're only 1% of the way there for a lot of the things that we do. With FinOps, it's not different. There's still a lot of things that we want to do over the next few years to further develop our FinOps practice. I've listed some of the things here for your reference, but there are many, many more. We definitely believe FinOps is a journey, and I hope that these examples help or even inspire you to take action and continue to maximize the value that you get by using the cloud. That's it for me. Thank you, and back to Davi.
Thanks so much, Hugo, for sharing Canva's journey with FinOps. Very confident that that will inspire and give really good ideas to the audience here. So just like to reinforce the importance of getting the visibility as one of the first steps into moving to this transition. Like Hugo said, when you give visibility to the engineering teams is where the magic of FinOps starts to happen. So I'd just like to share one last time, in case you missed the opportunity in the first slide, where the cost intelligence dashboards are. So this QR code will take you to the overall, like a collection of dashboards. You can see all of them available there. I also like to invite you to join the Skill Builder program. We have over 600 free digital courses, labs, or role-based games, so you can learn what you want, when you want, in your own pace. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much time for attending this session. If you have some feedback, if you like it, want to leave some feedback, please use the app. And if you have any questions or comments, please reach us out to the next stage. Thanks so much. Yep. Here you go.